Hey, come on, Billy. Now that we've run out of model behavior episodes to watch, let's steal this car and go joyriding.
Hey, watch where you're sticking that thing.
Tracks!
Yeah, bet you didn't know this car you were trying to steal was a freaking Autobot, did you little prick?
Oh man, now I understand that taking something without asking for it is stealing, and that's wrong. Thanks, Tracks.
Yeah, nice try, you little a-hole. I'm gonna take you both down this alley and then bust open a can of whoop-ass on you little punks.
Oh man, if only we had stayed at home and subscribed to the Model Behavior Patreon.
The Model Behavior Patreon. Watch it before Tracks busts you upside the head. Hey kid, what did the 5 fingers say to the face? Slap!
Oh.
Hello there, gang, and welcome to another episode of Displaying Model Behaviour, the Earth's mightiest video podcast. So take off your pants, crack a beer, and let's talk toys. Let's talk about the top 25 best action figures of 2022 that I purchased. Little caveat there because, oh my goodness, we were blessed with some incredible action figures last year, many of which I didn't buy. Why? Same reasons as always. Money and space, both very limited. However, with the limited amounts of both of those things that I had, I think I made some pretty good choices. Want to hear about them? Here goes! First up, a big old confession, and not in like a sexy taxicab confessions kind of way, but more in a Dave's a dumbass sort of way. G.I. Joe Bat, one of the best action figures to come out last year, probably top 10. Easy, I reckon. Yeah, is he on my list? No, forgot to mention him. Yeah. So here he is. This isn't even an honorable mention. He deserves to be real high. I just forgot when I was doing my thing. It happens. Life is what happens when you're making other plans. John Lennon said that. Smart guy. So this guy was probably one of the best army builders of the year. In fact, like, the more I think about it, probably one of the best army builders ever. Because he comes with so much, there are so many accessories to mix him up and change around his look. So if you do want to stack up a whole bunch of these guys, there's so much variety. With the different heads, you've got the battle damaged one, you've got the regular, he's got the chest compartment that comes off here that I couldn't catch, there it is. You've got all the inner workings inside. 5 different types of hands. With the 2 normal ones, you've got a flamethrower, a pincer, and like a rocket launcher. And what's so great with G.I. Joe's is that the backpack contains all of them. So he's got like a tool belt of mechanical arms to stick on there. So fantastic. I can't believe I forgot to put him in the list. So when it comes to his placement on my list, I'm going to leave that up to you guys. You can insert this guy wherever you feel most comfortable.
Oh, as an actress said to a bishop.
This dude, absolutely fantastic and well worthy of a very high place on the list, if I'd remembered. Now we're kicking off the list proper with one that I know is going to be controversial, and that is McFarlane's Cygor, the cybernetic gorilla, which is a massively flawed figure. I know, but it's a cybernetic gorilla. I mean, come on. So this was a huge part of my childhood. I desperately wanted to repurchase the old Cygor I used to have, and instead Todd McFarlane was like, no, don't worry about it. I'm going to bring out a new one for you. And he did, and I love it. Is his articulation good? Nah, not really. Could the paintwork use more detailing? Yeah, absolutely. Is he wearing a rubber gorilla nappy? Mm-hmm. Do I still love him? Yeah, absolutely. The killer gorilla here just does it for me. Not the vanilla gorilla, which was Brock Lesnar in 2002. Anyone remember that? You're the vanilla gorilla? Well, I'm going on safari. I'm rocking PlayStation 2. You can't figure out Atari. Yeah, that was a little John Cena battle rap for you there. Also, wow, PlayStation 2, cutting edge in 2002. So, yes, Cygor, easy placement on the list. Is he massively flawed? Yes. Do I love him? Yeah, absolutely. Gonna go now from big and chunky to small and delicate with Mafex Psylocke. Now I know there's a lot of sort of debate about the Mafex X-Ladies. They are a little flawed as well. These are like flawed figures that I kind of love. But I think what really appeals to me most about Psylocke is because she is this lithe ninja character, and the Mafex figures feel so delicate. and intricate. It kind of lends itself perfectly to the style of this character. You know what I mean? Am I making sense? I think I'm making sense. And then there are so many lovely little extras that she comes with her sonic weapons that are great. And also, you've got the display options with her katanas, which actually have the scabbards on the back with removable hilts, so you can have them either in there or out. It works really, really well. And then the beautiful metallic sheen to the paint job. I really love what they did with her. Got different heads with different kind of hair for battle type poses. Is she perfect? Nah, not at all. She needs a lot more ankle articulation, I think, so you could point her toes a lot more. I mean, come on, she's a ninja. Should be able to point her toes at least, but that doesn't matter because when you've got her wrapped up in the coil of the Sentinel and she's part of the overall X-Men display, oh, she fits right in, looks the business. Now a little sleeper hit for me, and that is Ragsy from the Hasbro Fortnite line. So many different reasons why I have a lot of affection for this. First of all, this is what is referred to, I've come to know, as a pocket figure. This is a little term I hadn't really heard before until I was talking to Dave Wonder, friend of the show, great creator as well. And he mentioned like a pocket action figure, one that you just grab on your way out of the house, stick in your pocket, and every now and then just have a little play around with. And I was like, you take your figures out and play with them? It's a bizarre concept I've never heard of, playing with action figures, but you know what? Once I was introduced to that idea, I was like, yeah, just a hearty, fun little figure you can pick up and just mess around with, and that's Ragsy right here. I love that kind of concept, and now I kind of do that. A little pocket figure, just mess around with. Kind of like a fidget spinner. And this is a great one, because also I love the slightly bonkers, weird, stylized... I mean, come on, it's an assassin, mercenary type character with a giant pink teddy bear head. It's bonkers, it's kind of ludicrous, and I kind of love it. Plus, look at this. Look at this. Ab crunch on a female figure. I mean, that's like cutting edge. Except that it's not. It's really easy to do. And Hasbro, you've done it. So, Marvel Legends, yeah, keep up. Now, one that not a lot of people talk about, but was a huge hit for me early in the year, Anthrax from the NECA TMNT animated line. So much going on with this beautiful, cartoony, almost Disney-looking type character. I just love the brightness, the boldness. It really does look like a cartoon, just pulled off of the screen. And there's basically the way it all fits together. I love so much. The way he's got his 4 different arms and he can hold his battle axe, his sword, his club. You got this wonderful removable knife in the back there as well. Such a expressive kind of face. So bright and fun. I don't have like the actual animated turtles. I don't need them because I just love this as a standalone, great, fun, wacky kind of figure. He's awesome. Even if I never collect any other animated turtles, he's always going to have a place on the shelf because he just brightens it up and makes it so fun. Big love for Anthrax. Now, I was just talking about the style of action figure fitting the character, like with Mafex and Psylocke, and I feel we get that again with the Revoltech Arkham Knight. There's so much innovation and interesting ideas that went into this figure. The fact that when you purchase him, you can full on swap out all the armor to go from Arkham Knight to Red Hood. And that's really, really cool. I love him in the whole Red Hood guise because for me, this harkens back to Grey Fox from Metal Gear Solid. Cyber ninjas, baby. What are 2 cool things? Cyborgs, ninjas. Smoosh them together, you don't get more badass than a cyber ninja. And I was just looking down there for his katanas as well. He can dual wield his red energy swords. Plus, he's got the guns as well. So much stuff you can do with this guy. And being Revoltech, you can twist him up in all sorts of crazy, ridiculous poses that when you stick him in a flight stand, looks so dynamic. Yeah, the more I play around with him, the more I'm like, yeah, this guy, really, really awesome. As far as marrying certain brands or characters to creators, Arkham Knight, Cyber Ninja with Revoltech, yeah, that's perfect. In the 21 spot, a character who actually could have gone higher. This list could be all over the place depending on the time of day because there are so many killers on this list, like the Alley Viper. Man, just looking at him, holding him, the amount of work and detail that has gone into putting this guy together. This is one of the things that won me over to the G.I. Joe line, because there's just so much stuff talking about army builders. I think, to be honest, that's one of the reasons I somewhat stepped away from the G.I. Joe line, was because it's too addictive. Because how can you just have one of these guys? You gotta have a whole squad of these guys, because they all look so badass. And with all the different weapons, kind of like with the bat, you can mix up how they look as well. You got the great riot shield on here, and of course I love the visor that can pop down at the front. That just looks wicked. And even though I'm not a gun person, I really appreciate that, as far as I can tell, like, these are like legit guns, right? They're not like Nerf guns. These must be modeled after legitimate, like, army type weapons, surely. Help me out, because they just look badass, you know? Like, this guy looks like a mean urban pacification type dude. And I love the kind of canon that the reason they wear such bright colors is that they're not trying to hide. Because they're such badasses, they're like, oh yeah, we want you to know that we're here, because we're about to eat your lunch, as the kids say. So yeah, Addy Viper, he's absolutely fantastic. He probably should have gone higher. Now going from one Joe to another, I try to break up the brands, but also, like, that's just the way they land with the ranking. Outback Jack! I hit the sack, but you know I'm glad to be back. Yes, I got loose from the noose that kept me hanging in here. And I'm sorry, I gotta stop that. Outback Jack, baby. This was my first Joe of the year, I think, and he might have, like, held the top spot as most awesome Joe. But gosh, it's been quite a year for G.I. Joe. And Outback Jack, I know that's not his name, but it's just imprinted in my brain now. I love most of all the real great details on the old man face. Where, I mean, it's very difficult to tell someone, do an old man face, but make it a tough old man. So he's like weathered, but not elderly. And someone was like, yeah, I understand this assignment. Bam! That guy looks like just a badass older dude. Beautiful wash on the face as well to bring out some of those details. Then just everything else that he comes with being a G.I. Joe figure. You've got all the different guns, pockets, pouches, a torch, knives, all this great stuff you can have so much fun with. Such a posable figure. You can mix up all the different details. To be honest, G.I. Joe have just been killing it so much this year. You could have swapped out any character for another G.I. Joe. They're all so darn great. Yeah, I need to buy more G.I. Joe figures. Now a big kahuna of an action figure. The Headless Horseman from 4 Horsemen Studios. Their figure Obscura dropped and they were like, hey, he's here. It's Halloween. You want him? You better get him quick. And my brain just went, Dave, don't think about it. Just order it right now. And that's what I did. And you know what? I'm really glad that I did. Because you know me, Halloween pumpkins, that's a whole thing that I love. Almost as much as Christmas. We'll get to that one later. But yeah, the beautifully put together horse here, and it's a flaming pumpkin. I was going to say Jack Sparrow. It's not Jack Sparrow, it's Ichabod Crane. It's Pumpkin Jack. It's whatever you want to call it. It's the Headless Horseman. He's wicked with the gorgeous wired cape and all the details on the costume you come to expect from Mythic Legions. This was a grand, out of the blue, impulse purchase. Had to make some serious budgetary cuts for the rest of the month. But I don't even mind, because once I got him in hand, I was like, baby, you're worth every penny. Coming in hot now with a Marvel legend, Renew Your Vows Spider-Man. The quintessential Spider-Man. Spoken about this guy a lot, so I'm not going to belabor the point. But, Spidey's my guy. You know Spidey's my guy. So, as soon as we get the ultimate version of Spider-Man for now, of course I'm going to rank him highly. Is he like a blowaway, incredible action figure? Arguably not that unbelievable, but just as the best version of Spider-Man, in my opinion, that we currently have, I gotta love him. The reason this one has the small eyes is because, Ben Reilly's my boy, so he gets the big eye head sculpt. But even with the smaller retro-style head, I think it just works terrifically. All the little bits of extra articulation in the toes and all that kind of stuff, wonderful. As far as, again, pocket figure, whack this guy in my pocket, have a little play around, little fidget spinner type thing. fantastic because he's durable as well. I mean, kind of a happy accident is that, yeah, he doesn't come with any accessories, but that means that nothing's going to fall off of him. You can just play around with him, fiddle about, and that's fine. When you get back home, you're not going to be like, oh no, his gun clip fell off. So that's actually kind of handy. And when I say he doesn't come with any accessories, I don't mean that literally. He came with the unmasked head, all the different hands. You got your money's worth with this guy. So yeah, the more I talk about him, the more I love him. Renew your vows, Spidey. One of my favorites. Now you wonder where the beef is? Here's the beef! Kintaro from Storm Mortal Kombat line. Come on, a four-armed tiger monster. Yes, please, thank you, sir. Can I have another? I've been transitioning out of collecting Mortal Kombat a little bit over the last year just because it was just getting a bit too big, bit too expensive, and I was like, you know what? You've got to make tough decisions. However, this guy, he's staying. I love everything that they've done here. Basically, they took what they did with Goro and then refined it and made it better. Flattened out the feet, improved the paintwork, just made it real nice. So many accessories with the different heads, the different hands you can have, and then just so much fun to have posing this guy. You can put him with other figures as well because he's just a great monster to have on your shelf. So dynamic and awesome. Lot of love for Kintaro. A Marvel legend that answered a lot of my prayers. Life Foundation Eddie Brock. You've heard me go on about him a lot recently, so I'm not going to belabor the point just like Renew Your Vow Spider-Man, but just look at him. The quintessential Eddie Brock right here. Like I said before, if this was released as a single action figure, it would have been like the perfect Marvel legend. Why? 2 different head sculpts, both awesome. 2 different pairs of hands. And then a big chunky body, well painted, nice clean lines and all that good jazz. It's just the Venom that I always wanted. Crazy 90s Eddie Brock with the symbiote wrapping around. So badass. Shame you had to buy an entire box set just to get him, but once you got him, yeah, he's all I wanted. Just ahead of Eddie Brock though, we have Storm Shadow, another G.I. Joe, and again, just the work that went into making him just look kind of cool. Kind of basic compared to other G.I. Joe characters in that, it is just a very plain white ninja, but then it's the little bits, the little itty bits, like the swords and the bow and arrow and all the kind of extra little straps and things. You could make him an army builder if you wanted to build up just a whole team of ninjas, but also I understand Storm Shadow is he's his own guy, and he's a pretty badass guy at that. So the fact he comes with a different hood as well, you can have it pulled down so you got more of the ninja Sub-Zero style ski mask kind of look. He just looks badass. Wherever you put him on the shelf, whoever you put him with, he just looks wicked. You can put him in a low, crouching ninja kind of pose. I got a lot of love for Storm Shadow, even though Eddie Brock is a more popular character for me. Just looking at the way the action figure's put together, I'm like, yeah, this guy had to go higher. Now kind of an interesting one, a figure that I don't have in hand anymore, and that is the NECA Leonardo Universal Monsters Igor character. Because yeah, I sold him because I needed the money, and also I just needed the shelf space, and they don't go with anything else. They just kind of stand by themselves as their own thing. However, that being said, I can't not make a top 10 or top 25 figures list and not include these Universal Monster mashup figures with a clear conscience, because just as far as work and effort that went into making action figures, these are incredible. Absolutely incredible. And I was torn about selling him, but again, money and space. But the amount of detail and thought, it's the creativity that I love. So much creative energy was poured into putting love and effort into these figures. They deserve their own proper shout out. So I said Leonardo because he was my favorite. I also bought Raphael as well. Both equally fantastic with the work that goes into them. Even though I don't have them anymore, nothing up my sleeve, I still want to say that they get a high place in the ranking because they really were fantastic action figures. Now, one that wasn't so universally adored, but I really loved, Mezco Spider-Man 2099. And I love him for all of his faults. First of all, just at a glance, come on, he does look badass. It's badass face sculpt. Just the design of the costume is really, really cool. But then I do appreciate a lot of people, you get a little closer, and on the sock it to me scale, he is a high 8, maybe 9 on the sock it to me scale. Yeah, he is wearing a sock. He's wearing a baby's romper suit. And it's so frustrating because Mezco love to put their own spin on characters by adding different panels and little things to make the costume fit their style more. And then with Spider-Man 2099, a character that lends himself to having a more futuristic looking costume, they went, nah, we'll just stick with what's in the comics and it looks like a baby's romper suit. The more I talk about it, the more I think I should be annoyed, but I'm not, because I just love him. I can't help it. Sometimes you just attach to something like a baby bird, and that's what's happened here. Yes, he's wearing a child's romper suit, but dang it, I really love all the work that went into just making him fun, playing around with him. You get him in some really cool looking kind of poses, and I think I see through. My eyes make up the difference. My eyes and my brain work together to look past the sock that he's wearing and instead just go, nah man, that's Spider-Man 2099, and Spider-Man 2099, he's really cool. Next up we have the character who was number 1 on my best Marvel Legends list, Doctor Strange. I was about to say deluxe Doctor Strange, but he wasn't deluxe. That's why he's so good, because he was a regular priced figure, came out all on his own with so many accessories, 3 different heads, all the magic spells, the weapons, and it was the Doctor Strange that everyone has been asking for the longest time. Classic 616 Doctor Strange. They nailed the bejesus out of this with the bright paint job and just everything that you would have wanted Doctor Strange to be. And he sort of ushered in this year of awesome face sculpts. We've had some amazing face sculpts, and I feel like this was one of the first ones that really made me kind of prick up my eyebrows and be like, oh wow, they're upping their game, and they picked a great character to do it with. Absolutely love this guy. Yeah, easily one of my favorites. Now we got ourselves a big chonky boy with Beta Ray Bill, the Norse horse from Select. This guy is what you get when you get your money's worth. If you ever say, oh man, I got my money's worth, this is what we're talking about here. Originally priced at $30, which in itself is a steal, has recently been being sold on the Disney website for $15 bucks. That is incredible. Absolutely amazing. The size and heft of this figure alone ranks him pretty high, just in my own personal opinions. But then you throw in an awesome looking sculpt, beautiful paintwork, the spinning hammer. There's so much that just makes this guy like stand alone on the shelf, just dominating the area. He looks incredible. When you're talking bang for your buck on action figures, this is what I'm talking about. Fantastic. A new addition to the collection now, Combatants Fight for Glory Bernice, I think there's an extra E in there. Doesn't matter. What does matter is this Gladiator lady, so wicked. First of all, if you watch Articulated Ninja's review, you can see that like all of this armor can be peeled away, leaving you with a base body for whatever amazing customs or head swaps you want to do. I've seen some awesome ones. The figure is kind of 1/6 scale, but very Amazonian in proportions, but that's wicked. And then nice little touches they did, like you see with the helmet here, she has removable hair, so she actually has a larger hair piece that you can put on there for when she's not wearing it, that's more sort of dynamic looking. Then you can remove that and pop the helmet on to give you these different looks here. And then with the huge big dueling spear, the shield, you got the wonderful sword there as well, and all the absolutely gorgeous sculpting that has gone in to the decorative work on her armor looks so wicked. I am so grateful and happy I was able to get my hands on this. So there's 2 others that came in the line, and like, oh, it would be tempting to get them as well because they're all just fantastic in their own unique ways. However, when given the option by my good buddy who sent this to me, he was like, which one do you want? Boom, the red one, because she just looks the most badass. I love what they did with this, and I'm very excited to see more figures from this line. Now, last year, even though G.I. Joe Classifieds did dominate, there are some people who would say that Valorverse was better, and I'm not necessarily one of them. I sit in the middle. I think it varies from figure to figure. But the Scarab, oh my giddy lord, stands in a class all by himself. I love everything that goes into this character design, because it's like gritty, real world, but also slightly bonkers and crazy as well, because he's got all this fantastically sculpted and designed urban pacification type gear, but then just slap on a crazy hornet insect kind of motif that goes on there. And he's wearing his additional armor pack that you can buy, which I thought is a fun way to take your already great action figure and then make him even more wicked with a giant backpack modeled after I was going to say a wasp, but maybe a scarab, Dave, that might be more accurate. But I love all the honeycomb look that's going on here, and the faceless, kind of scary, like you don't know what's under there sort of mask, again with the beautiful texture on there too. All the different weapons as well. Again, same problem with Valorverse as with G.I. Joe. You just want to army build them because they're so good and you got to fight the urge to. So I'm saying, Dave, one is enough because just one standing on the shelf, yeah, absolutely. The more I look at him, the more I'm like, yeah, this is such a fun figure. Look at this smile. This dude's bringing out this smile. That's why I love him so much. All right, we've had 4 Horsemen Studios celebrating Halloween, so now we got to have them celebrating Christmas with Santa.
Oh my god!
I adore Christmas. I love the mythology around it with Krampus and all the kind of things you can tie into it. There's actually some really cool canon for Christmas, which is kind of fun. And this Santa Claus, I mean, you want to talk about your quintessential versions of a character. This is just so beautiful. Again, kind of like the NECA Turtles. I can tell that the designers looked at this and went, what extra can we do? How far can we go? How can we zhuzh up this figure? You got 2 different heads with the big bushy beard and also the smaller one as well. You got the nice little laurel. There's everything you can take off and remove is so impressive. You've got this little bag of gifts, actually is full of gifts that they include. And then you've got the beautiful sculpting and designs on his extra bag here, the satchel with everything. You got the drum that connects to his belt and all the wonderful lining and details in his robe, which is itself wired. And then of course, just, it actually feels, I don't know what it's made of, but it feels like velour, like it's really strokeable. It's beautiful. So much work. His hood piece is a separate piece that you clip on. It's just, again, the art of action figures, man. They absolutely nailed this. I think this is going to be an all-round figure, an all year round figure. I'm not just going to get him out at Christmas. Santa, he's always going to be on the shelf, just watching over the rest of the figures, making sure that they're all on the the right naughty and nice list. Yeah, I love this guy. So much joy right here. He's fantastic. Now, the figure in the number 6 spot is going to be controversial, and when I say controversial, it's not controversial because no one cares, but in my head, it's controversial. Why? Because I don't own him, but my buddy Dom showed him to me, and I was like, wow, this is freaking amazing. I wish I owned it, and that is the Hammond T-Rex from Jurassic Park. Oh my god! I haven't bought any Jurassic Park figures, and then my friend showed me his collection, and I was like, oh wait, they make really good dinosaurs? Because the difficulty with collecting Jurassic Park is that there's so many different lines. You got Amber Collection, Hammond Collection, you got like Super Kiddie type ones. So I think I only saw the kiddie ones, and I was like, they ain't great. And then he was like, oh, but my good sir, you all need to take a look at this. So yeah, that T-Rex, I want him. I want him so bad. Because also, you could pose that with any other characters. Like, you have Wolverine fighting the T-Rex in the Savage Land. And you know I love my 1/12 scale. And it's not technically 1/12, but again, it could just be a smaller T-Rex. It can be a baby T-Rex. So even though I don't own him, I want him. And he came out last year, and I was so enamored with this figure when I saw it. I'm like, yep. I'm going to break my own rules. Doesn't even matter. I don't own him, but he's going up high on the list because that T-Rex figure, oh god, it's fantastic. Now this one's kind of funny just because I'm a big fan of Anthony's Customs and he put this on his worst figures of the year list, but Mezco Wolverine for me goes way, way high up. Possibly because of the fact that he was the first Mezco that really won me over when I saw him advertised, when they initially announced him. I did like a whole video of like, oh wow, okay, I think I might finally have to get into Mezco. And then the funny thing was, they take so long to come out that I bought a whole ton of Mezcos before he finally dropped. But when he did, the anticipation had been built up so much, I was like, oh, this is an event. And it still feels like an event. I feel like he comes with so much. There's so much in the package that it's not just a figure. It's like a whole play experience. You've got like, what, 6 or 7 different heads, the different hands, the slashing effects, the beautiful Sentinel diorama base. So much stuff that goes in here. I love it. And yes, of course, if you don't like Mezco, it's always going to have those kind of caveats where you're like, I don't think the cloth good works. The cloth good? The cloth goods? Sorry, it's coming to the end of the list. Words are hard at this point. I personally love it. Are the proportions a little bit odd? Yeah, I think they are. I agree. All the sort of anatomy type questions. I think he does. He's a little sort of stumpy, even though Wolverine should be short. But it's unusual. But I love it. Same goes for Spider-Man 2099. It's almost because of these flaws that I kind of feel like, it's kind of quirky. I dig it, baby. I dig it the most. So yeah, even though I think it's a real kind of Marmite sort of figure, for me, it's my mate, Marmite. Because yeah, Mezco Wolverine, absolutely adore this guy. Now ranking real high in the number 4 spot is Green Ranger Shredder. You know why I love this guy? Because he is kind of a basic action figure. There's no crazy, Mezco style or Mafex or anything like that. This is a standard action figure that just went a little bit above and beyond in every category that I love. From creativity to diversity in the materials, and also two licenses that I love smooshed together. The coolest Power Ranger with the coolest Turtles character, when written to be cool. Shredder's a doofus when he's written to be that way, but man, I had no intention of getting this guy until I saw him for sale at a Comic-Con, and I was like, yeah, that looks amazing. And he lives up to expectations. All the coolest elements of the Green Ranger design, with the gold and the green and the beautiful shield going on around here. And then I love the Shredder mask. Kind of looks like the Dragon Zord. Again, there was a designer out there who had so much fun putting this together, thinking, how can we incorporate everything? You got like the morphing coin on the belt. It's so much fun. Then with the beautiful work that went into like the shredded, appropriately tattered cape, he just looks so dynamic on the shelf. And again, I love mixing up my different lines. He can go with any kind of mythical type characters. So many cool diorama and display options. Yeah, absolutely wicked figure. Time to get a little snooty and highfalutin now with the Gans Boy from Damn Toys. This, I spoke earlier about the artistry of action figures. And this is what I'm talking about. This guy just, chef's kiss. Because it's not really like a toy. It feels like a stop motion animation puppet. And that's what's so beautiful. All of the sewing and stitching that has gone into making this costume, it feels like something that has been bespoke made for a special project. But it's not. It's an action figure. But it's just so much like you know what I'm trying to say with my little fingers going here? There's just so much of that. It feels like there's a whole creative endeavor that has gone into building this world in someone's mind where this little Japanese salaryman style robot exists, and I love it. And he comes with all these little props, so you can build this kind of diorama where he's standing at a table and he's got his big phone and he's got his bowl of ramen and just so much stuff that brings this character to life. I feel like with a face that has no face, I feel it's still got so much expression in it. That's so beautiful. I could go on about this guy for ages, but this video is already too long, so therefore I'll simply put him at the number 3 spot and say that I adore him. Now we're going to go from snooty highfalutin to a classic toy, and that's why I love him. Transmetal Beast Wars Megatron, another relatively new addition to the collection. My first classic Transformers toy, and I just fell in love with him. Absolutely. And this, interestingly, hasn't necessarily made me jump into the Transformers line, because this is like a rare, unique case where just all the elements have come together perfectly to make this just right for me. First of all, both different transforming modes look awesome. The dragon or the robot, they both just look wicked on the shelf. Then the fact that it is a dragon, big old point there. The bright, colorful color scheme with the wings coming out. So much stuff to love. As soon as I picked him up, I was like, yep. I'm so happy with my purchase. Because I was on the fence. I was like, I don't know, I'm going to buy a Transformer. I haven't really been into the line. So just a chunk of change. As soon as I started playing with him, I was like, oh no, I get it. The dopamine, the endorphins were going. Whatever style you want to pose him in, it just looks wicked. It's so satisfying and fun to do the transforming. Finally, when it comes to Transformers, I get it. I've always loved the franchise, but I wasn't a big fan of the figures. And now, playing around with this guy, I'm like, yeah, I get it. The fact that it's either a badass robot, but also like a kind of a mangery demon devil type monster. Like I said, all the elements were correct. And this guy, easy number 2 spot. But he doesn't get the number 1 spot. Why? Because that is taken by this little guy. Mezco Atticus Doom. I instantly, as soon as I saw the advertisement for this guy, I just thought, that's so cool. It's cute, it's quirky, it's occult, it's weird, it's dark, but it's kind of upbeat too. It's just, I just instantly fell in love with him. So many creative display options as well. You can have this guy looking however you want, with a crazy Cthulhu head, a lobster claw, all these different magic power effects. He comes with a spell book that actually is a real working book. You can unclip the latch and turn the pages over. It's like a Necronomicon in there. Again, with the love and passion and energy and creativity that went into making this guy. Oh, I just adore him. All the cloth goods, all the separate pieces. You've got this beautiful wired coat that you can have billowing in the wind. He's got his little scarf, which actually you can unravel and unwrap. It's a separate piece. So much fun to be had with this guy. So many playing options. Talking about the artistry of action figures, bam! This is what it is. So I won't go on for too much longer, because you can see for yourself. If it's your kind of thing, then you get it. If it's not, then I appreciate you like, not necessarily my cup of tea. However, like I even just thought about, you can remove his little turban. You got his brain underneath with a little magic Eye of Agamotto type thing in there. Just the fun. The fun that was had into putting this figure together is translated into the fun you get when you play around with him. Mezco, 5 stars, mwah, chef's kiss, 10 out of 10. Badass seal of model behavior on this guy. Easy number 1 for 2022. And folks, that does it for my list of the top 25 best action figures of 2022. Guys, what do you think about it? Comment below, let me know. What were your best action figures of last year, and what are you looking forward to come out this year that you're pretty certain is going to make your top list? Because we got some good things coming up this year. I'm already so excited, and also a little bit trepidatious because it's going to be another expensive year. But when you're buying action figures, that's money well spent. So gang, thank you so much for watching, and until next time, keep displaying model behavior.